y'all, it's Missniecytv, and I'm here to do a review for Divorce Sistas Season 1, Episode 13. The episode picks up where it left off, and we see Denise confronting Myron about everything that she just heard, right? And she's like, what are you saying? What did I just hear? Bridget's trying to calm her down, and Denise is like, so you just gonna sit here and lie in the church like that? I heard you say that he was attracted to somebody. Bridget was like, I was mistaken, I was talking about somebody else. Denise is like, Myron, what's going on? And Myron's like, Denise, what do you want? That's a clear sign that he doesn't even care about you or the marriage, that he's not even pleading his case to make you forgive him about the things that you just heard. Denise, you just need to accept the fact that he's not attracted to you, and the fact that she was trying to sit there and talk to him and make him admit what she just heard after she just heard it is crazy. Because you know he's not going to tell you the truth. I just need everybody to be honest in this situation, especially Myron, and tell his wife that he's not attracted to her and he's attracted to me. Then we see Pastor Jeff and Rashida having a conversation as they're riding home from church, and they're basically talking about everything that's going to go down at the dinner. And Rashida's like, you don't know what you got yourself into. Rashida's like, remember what we always said, we don't talk about the people that we counsel. And Pastor Jeff is like, so you're telling me that Geneva's gonna wreck this dinner? Geneva's gonna do more than just wreck the dinner. She's gonna drop a bomb and a tornado, a tsunami, and all the things. But do I think she's gonna do it willingly? No. William or Rashida is probably gonna have to be the one that forces it out of her. As they're talking about the dinner, Rashida gets a call from Bridget, and Bridget is explaining to her everything that just happened with Myron and his wife. And Rashida basically tells her that I'm not trying to hear all that, so I'm gonna hang up this one. Rashida is so done with Myron and the whole situation with the pastor, and to be honest, so am I. Once Rashida gets off the phone, Pastor Jeff is like he was crying because Bridget lets Rashida know that Myron was crying. And Rashida's like, you really want to know? Pastor Jeff is like, do I? Rashida's like, no, all I really want to do is go home, get dressed, and have dinner with my husband. Because after that, we're going to have a good night. And Pastor Jeff is like, are we? Then he tries to throw in the question again. And Rashida's like, I'm not telling you. Then we see Grayson sitting in his dorm room doing some homework, and then that's when he gets a knock on the door, and it's Naomi. And I'm like, oh, so Naomi was actually telling the truth about going to see Grayson. I feel like the meeting isn't genuine at all. She just wants to get on Grayson's good side so that it softens the blow of the plan that she has for his father. Naomi asks Grayson how his girlfriend was doing because she wants to take them out to dinner. And Grayson's like, why would I do that? Naomi is like, I'm just trying to be nice. Then she flips the script and says, did your father turn you against me like this? Is that why you're so paranoid? Grayson's like, no, but you did. Grayson's like, come on now, let's not pretend. Naomi's like, what? Grayson's like, well, I have another class to get to. Naomi's like, it's after 3 p.m. Grayson's like, I'm not in high school anymore. Naomi's like, you're right, you're grown. Grayson's like, so you could just go home. Naomi, I finally realized what it is. You don't see Grayson as the grown man that he is. You still see him as that little boy that you could manipulate. Now that you can't do it, you think that Franklin's turning him against you. Well, Franklin might be turning him against you a little bit. Grayson still has his own mind, and he can still see the messed up stuff that you've done throughout his life. Speaking of messed up things, right? Naomi's like, well, let's forget all that and let's go get your favorite treat. Grayson's like, what is my favorite treat? Naomi's like, stop playing, it's caramel ice. Grayson's like, that hasn't been my favorite treat since I was 5. Naomi's like, well, you can still get it. Grayson's like, I can't because I'm allergic to dairy. But you want to know what you were doing when we found that out? You were drunk or either fighting too much. Naomi has the nerve to say, why are you doing this to me? Naomi, this isn't about you. This is how you make Grayson feel, but of course you're going to turn around on you. She's really trying to sit there and gaslight Grayson, but it's not working. So he basically tells her, you can go home. Then Naomi's like, well, I'm going to be at the Lawless, and you could come there with your girlfriend. I'm going to be there all night. Naomi, you just dug yourself into a deeper hole more than you even realized. Then over at Franklin's house, we see Hakeem climbing a fence, trying to break into the house and complete his plan. But he gets stopped by the alarm system that he sees through the window. So he goes over to the shed. When he gets to the shed, he calls Naomi. Naomi's like, did you get that done? Hakeem is not trying to talk to her because that could be traced back. And Naomi basically tells him that she's on an app that can't be traced. Hakeem is like, no, I wasn't able to do that because I was greeted by the alarm system. Naomi's like, that's okay. You'll still be home though. Hakeem is like, well, make sure you have all my money. And Naomi's like, I got you. Just call me when it's done. She's like, where you at? Hakeem is like, I'm in the shed. Naomi's like, well, don't leave any DNA in there. Hakeem was stupid enough to try to complete this plan without a mask on. So if the cameras pick him up being there, they're going to know that it's Hakeem and he's going to be easily identifiable. He might as well be prepared to go to jail right now. And if he wants a lesser sentence, he might as well start singing like a canary and tell them that Naomi asked him to do this. Over at Pastor Jeff and Rashida's, we see Rashida trying to unzip her dress so that she could get ready for the dinner. And that's when Jeff comes in there and he basically tells her that traffic is not bad. We already know what's on Jeff's mind. He's trying to get down to business. He helps Rashida unzip her dress, and then he starts trying to talk to her and trying to touch on her, and Rashida's like, we don't have time. Rashida tells him that she's about to get in the shower, so we already know what's about to go down. They're about to get down to business in the shower. Over at the yoga studio, we see William and Yara have a conversation because William thinks that he's there to pick up the box based on the text that he thought he read. Yara was telling him that Geneva picked up the box, and William was like, how does she even know about the box? Yara was like, well, that came up because she was accusing us of sleeping together. William is like, well, Yara's like, well, I guess you want to know what I told her. William is like, well, I don't think I really want to know that. She's like, I basically told her that she was a selfish, insecure woman and that you're a man that really loves her and cares about her. Yara basically asked him, is everything okay? William is like, no, but I will be. Yara was like, well, don't let this situation change you. You have a lot of kindness in your eyes and kindness in your heart. William is like, it's going to be hard to say that. Yara was like, well, you can fix it. You just got to work hard at it. Yara, if you only knew what was going over there behind closed doors, I don't think you would say that. William is like, thank you, I appreciate it. Yara was like, I know there's not much that I can do, but we could do a free yoga session free of charge. William is like, I'll think about it. Then Yara asked about Anika. William is like, how'd you find out about that? Yara was like, because your wife told me. She just said that she kept her out of school. William is like, oh. So then they finish the conversation and William leaves. Based off his body language in that conversation with Yara, I think we're about to see a whole different side of William. He's not going to be that prim and proper college professor anymore. Back over at Rashida's and Pastor Jeff, we see Kelly and Laz arguing. Laz is basically telling her that she's sleeping with two guys. Kelly's telling him that he's on drugs. Rashida and Pastor Jeff basically like, we don't talk to each other in this house and you know the rules. Laz is like, well, she's sleeping with two guys. Kelly's like, well, you're on drugs. Pastor Jeff is like, where are y'all getting y'all information? Kelly's like, my friend Ninja and my friend Brittany told me that you were still doing drugs. Laz is like, well, Brittany told me that you were still sleeping with two guys. Kelly's like, well, you're still doing drugs. Laz is like, I'm tired of people not believing me. And then that's when Pastor Jeff is like, well, we got your results and you were telling the truth. The weed was laced with fentanyl. Kelly's like, well, he was still smoking weed. Pastor Jeff is like, I don't think he's going to do that anymore. Kelly's like, why do you say that? And Pastor Jeff lets Kelly know that Laz almost overdosed that morning and that Rashida had to revive him. And the look on Kelly's face and her emotions completely changed. And Rashida's like, that'll change your tone on it. Pastor Jeff basically tells them that they have to be aware of the company that they keep and the misinformation that they spread around. Kelly's like, wait, so you almost died? Laz doesn't even say anything. Pastor Jeff and Rashida basically like, we gotta go, so y'all behave yourselves and talk about the people that y'all keep around. Hopefully after learning what happened to Laz, Kelly and Laz will have a different attitude towards each other. Over in Grayson's dorm room, we see Grayson sitting there, and that's when his girlfriend Frances walks in, and Grayson basically tells her that Naomi invited them to dinner. Frances isn't hesitant at all. She's like, I want to see what she wants. I want to see why she acts like this. So Grayson calls Naomi and lets her know that they're going to come to the dinner, even though Grayson's hesitant. She's basically like, I just want to do something nice. That dinner is going to be a complete and utter disaster. Speaking of dinner, some time passes and it's time for the dinner with Geneva, Rashida, Pastor Jefferson, and William. William is already there because he's not playing around about getting the answers that he wants. So Geneva walks in and she's like, so you're not going to pull out the chair for your wife? William is already on that type of time. He's like, I don't pull out chairs for liars. Geneva's like, how many of those have you had? William is like, not enough. But I really think he wanted to say, not enough for them to deal with you. Geneva's like, well, I won't be here long. I'm going to go relieve Sarah. William starts laughing. He's like, when have you ever wanted to relieve Sarah? Geneva's like, don't do that. William is like, where's my box? Geneva's like, what box? William is like, the box from Yara. Geneva has nothing to say because she's realized that she's been caught. William is like, so you really went over there trying to make that woman think I was cheating, but you're the one that was cheating. Geneva is adamant that she hasn't cheated on William, and William is like, oh, but you have. Then Geneva calls Rashida and asks where they are. She's like, we're walking in now. Rashida and Pastor Jeff are like, sorry we're late. Rashida's like, blame him. Geneva's like, well, y'all look happy. Rashida's like, yeah, we are. Rashida's like, well, y'all don't look that happy. And William is like, because we aren't. William is like, you want me to be happy? Rashida, tell me who she had sex with and got pregnant. Pastor Jeff is like, so we just jumping into the deep end, huh? William is like, what are we waiting for? Pastor Jeff is like, I thought we were older. William is like, you know what, I'm not with all the small talk. I'm actually not that hungry. I just want my answer. That's when Pastor Jeff asks William how many drinks has he had, and William is like, I feel like you judging me. Pastor Jeff is like, I'm not judging you. Pastor Jeff is like, I just want the conversation to be polite and coherent when you get your answers. Geneva's like, yeah, and not in a public restaurant. Pastor Jeff is like, that's my bad. I didn't think it was going to be like this. William is like, how could you not think that? I told you that my daughter is not my daughter. And Pastor Jeff is like, you made it seem like you weren't sure. William is like, I definitely am sure. The look on Geneva's face, it looked like her whole face sunk in when he said that, and her heart dropped to her stomach. Pastor Jeff is like, you sound like a reasonable guy. William is like, that's the problem. Everybody thinks that I'm a reasonable guy and they could push over me. But Pastor Jeff is like, actually, we're a lot alike in that regard. We take all that we can take, and then we try to pray against the person that's inside of us. But sometimes that person comes out. William asks Jeff, what would he do in this situation? And Rashida looks at him like, don't answer that. William is like, well, let's look at it like this. I waited till I got married to have kids. Then William talks about how they took out loans for IVF and he's still paying on them. Geneva is a selfish, conniving, manipulative person. You sit there and lied and said that there was an IVF mix-up when the doctor literally told you it was your egg and William's sperm and there was no match. It's crazy. Jeff is like, I get it. William is like, no, you don't. He's like, every time that Geneva had a miscarriage, it felt like a bomb went off. William is like, we did a whole lot of praying and crying. Rashida's like, well, we were right there with you. William is like, well, you know what you said to me? He was like, God will do it. William is like, God did it, but he just didn't do it for me. Then William goes into the story of how every night he would pray over Geneva's belly that he would promise God that he would be a great father and a great husband. Geneva's like, Anika's your daughter. William is like, yeah, but she's not biologically my daughter. Pastor Jeff interjects and he's like, is there something that you want to tell William? Geneva's like, people are staring at us. Rashida's like, I think we should end this. William is like, no, we're not ending this. I need my answers now. Rashida's like, well, I don't think we should get the answers here. Maybe we can go to the church. William is like, the things that I have to say don't belong in the church. Pastor Jeff is like, well, you can come to my house. William, you will ride with Rashida and Geneva will ride with me. Out of nowhere, Tiffany and Javon show up. Tiffany is like, I didn't know you guys were going to be here. Javon opens his mouth and says, well, I did. Javon, you are a despicable man. And of course, Tiffany's like, what's going on? What's going on? Rashida's like, I'll tell you later. Tiffany's like, what's going on? Rashida's like, I'll tell you later. William, little do you know, Anika's father is standing right in front of you and happens to be your best friend. So William and Pastor Jeff leave first, and Rashida tells Pastor Jeff that she's going to stay behind for a minute and talk to Geneva. And basically, what Rashida tells Geneva is like, if you don't tell that man, I'm going to tell him myself, because I can't keep going on with it. Geneva's like, you swore that you would never tell me. You swore that you would never tell me. Girl, Rashida is tired of holding this lie for you. It's tearing up her mental health and her peace. I just hope that Rashida and Pastor Jeff have insurance on their house and then insurance on those items, because their house is going to be a tornado once William finds out the truth, and he also finds out where Anika's name came. Over at Tiffany and Javon's table, Tiffany is really not in the mood to talk or eat right now. Javon basically has small talk with her. They talk about him taking her dancing. Tiffany is like, what type of music do you like? Javon's like, 90s R&B. I know that's right, Javon. 90s R&B is top tier. So then they have some cute banter about that, and then the conversation moves into Geneva and William and how Tiffany was the first one to volunteer to watch Anika when they go to Italy. And Tiffany is like, I'm always so happy for her. And when she said that she was going to Italy, I was the first one to volunteer to watch Anika. Javon is like, she wasn't really receptive to that. Javon is like, you know her better than I do. Javon, stop playing. Why are you trying to play this innocent role that you're not in love with Geneva and you're only using Tiffany to make Geneva jealous? Javon is basically like, in time things will be revealed, and Tiffany is like, yeah, they will. Javon, the truth is about to be revealed, and I don't think it's going to end well for you either. While they're talking and flirting and doing all the things, Tiffany catches her ex-husband at the bar because he's the bartender, and Tiffany is perturbed by that. So Javon's like, you know what, let's give him a show. So Javon calls Tiffany's ex-husband over, and of course he's looking mad because he's like, why is Tiffany here with a new man, basically. Over at the bar, we see Naomi standing on top of the bar dancing, and people are just cheering her on and stuff. And that's when Grayson and Francis walk in, and Grayson pulls her down from the bar. And I'm like, Naomi, if you were even trying to build a relationship with your son genuinely, this is not the way to do it. We see William and Rashida in the car, and they're basically talking about the situation with Geneva, and William is like, I know she told you the truth, and who the person is, are you going to tell me? I would never tell what somebody tells me in confidence. William is like, so she did tell you. Rashida is like, the only way I would tell if it was like a legal matter. William is like, so her deceiving me is not a legal matter? Rashida's like, no, it's a crime of the heart. Then Rashida's like, I understand that you're hurting everything, but you know how Geneva is. She's very stubborn. William was like, I know that, but where's the advice? Rashida's like, well, you have to try a different approach. Maybe ask her how she's feeling, how her emotions are, and maybe she'll open up. William is not trying to hear all that. Rashida's like, well, you're a brilliant professor. You know what to do. Over in the car with Geneva and Pastor Jeff is basically trying to get Geneva to talk. He's like, I remember when William bought you this car, you were so happy. Geneva's like, don't do that, I know what you're trying to do. Then Pastor Jeff starts to bring up the whole IVF situation and how she basically told William that it was a whole IVF mix-up, and Pastor Jeff is like, okay, but you know that's hard to believe. Geneva's like, so when I to the hospital, what are you gonna have to say then? Geneva, so you're willing to go through with this lie so far that you're gonna allow that doctor to lose her license, have the hospital have a bad reputation because you want to sit there and lie. Now, Geneva's like, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to interrogate me. Pastor Jeff is like, I know, and it's not working, I see. Pastor Jeff is like, so you know how it feels when you're trying to badger witnesses on the stand. Geneva's like, well, I'm not a witness. Pastor Jeff is like, well, you are a witness for the Lord. Geneva's like, first you try to flatter me, and then you try to bring up the Lord. Pastor Jeff is like, you know what comes with being a witness for the Lord? Sometimes you got to extend grace to people. Sometimes to your fellow man, and sometimes to your husband. So basically, what he's telling you is you have to I think Geneva is going to ride this lie until she can't ride it no more, and Rashida's going to have to be the one to call her out on it, and I think it's going to happen when William starts destroying their house. Over at Franklin's house, we see Franklin coming down the stairs, and he's on the phone with Grayson, and Grayson's telling him about everything that happened with Naomi, and as he's doing that, Hakeem has hopped the fence and unlocked the door, and he's ready to execute his plan. Franklin makes it into his room and sits on the edge of the bed. He turns around and he sees Hakeem standing there, and all I can think is, Franklin, it was good knowing you, but you're about to be up out of here, buddy. Naomi and Hakeem are about to be locked up together, and I hope Hakeem starts singing like a canary. Let me know what you guys think about the episode. Please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn your bell notifications. Bye!